Are going to continue out into Livermore. You're not going to see any relief until you get past El Charro, and then things loosen up or grind you down again on the Altamont Pass. Southbound.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you have access to 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
Radio 560 KSFO. Like us on Facebook at 560 KSFO and stay up to date on the latest events. Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
The following ad is paid by Repeal the Death Tax, a project of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. The views, opinions, and beliefs expressed are those of Repeal the Death Tax, a project of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and don't necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of KSFO.
It's Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party on 560 KSFO and 790 KABC. We need you. Get your petition now at repealthedeathtax.com.
Yeah, get your petition right now. Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Shelley. I'm the Vice President of Communications for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. And I'm here with my colleague Scott Kaufman, the Legislative Director of HJTA. And why? Because we want to protect you from being taxed out of your property. That's what the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is about. Now, what is Repeal the Death Tax about? This is about fixing a tax increase on inherited property that was slipped through when no one was looking. You may remember a couple of years ago, Proposition 19 was on the ballot in 2020. That's the one that looked like it was about protecting wildfire victims. And it was, and it did, and that's fine. And it looked like it was about protecting seniors, and it was, and it did, and that's fine. But in the fine print, it took away the constitutional right for parents to pass property to their children with no change to the tax bill. That's what it did. And now when property is passed from parents to children, it is reassessed to current market value. If you're driving, try not to listen to this part because it's so scary, but imagine your property suddenly getting reassessed to its current market value, and the tax bill is 1% of that current market value every year as a condition of keeping your property. Well, that's what's happening to thousands of families across California. They are inheriting property, homes, sometimes rental homes, sometimes a little vacation cabin, sometimes a small business, sometimes a duplex. And what's happening? Reassessed to current market value as of the date of transfer, which in the case of an inheritance is sadly the day of death. And what happens to this family? Well, they're opening their mail one day and they've got all these lovely sympathy cards. And one of them is a letter from the assessor's office telling them that they're going to have a tax increase of tens of thousands of dollars a year. At that moment, they get the notice. This is a tax increase that was slipped through. Voters didn't know about it. It's wrong, and we have to reverse it. What are we doing? We are collecting signatures on an initiative petition to put something on the ballot that puts back what was lost. The right for parents to pass property to their children, their home of any value, plus up to $1 million of assessed value of other property. And that could be a business property, that could be a rental home. That could be a home that the parents used to live in, but they moved out and let one of the kids live in it, and they intend for the child to inherit the property. Well, it wasn't the parents' principal residence, so it's going to be reassessed to current market value when they pass. This is horrible. Here's how you fix it. You go to repealthedeathtax.com on your phone, on your computer, at Staples or Office Depot or any office store that has a little print counter. You go to repealthedeathtax.com and you click the link that says download the official petition right now. And then you get our official petition with complete instructions. The petition's only one page. You can print it on any printer, regular letter-sized paper. You fill it out, you sign it, you fill out the little thing at the bottom that says declaration of circulator, because when you do this on your kitchen table, you are your own circulator, and you mail it back to to the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. The address is right on the petition. There's even a mailing label on the instructions. When you do that, and when you tell everyone you know to do that, we will get the signatures we need by the deadline that we need them. Get them to us postmarked by February 5th. We are running out of time, but we still can do this. By February 5th, get them in the mail. Tell everyone you know that we are fixing this for California families. We are determined to fix this. Repealthedeathtax.com. And we are here to take your calls on this subject. 1-800-222-5222. You're listening to the Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party. We are live on 790 KABC in Southern California, 560 KSFO in Northern California, up and down the state from Lake Tahoe to San Diego Mission Bay. Happy to take your calls. 800-222-5222. Hi, Scott. How's everything in Sacramento?
You know, Susan, it's just another perfect day in Sacramento. They're trying to raise your taxes as always, but what else is?
We're going to stop them from doing that. We're, you know, we fight.
Your lips to God's ears, Susan.
We fight these things all the time at the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association because Sacramento wants to spend more money than you pay. They want to waste the money that you pay. They want to come to you for more money. It's Scott's job to watch out in the legislature to see what they're up to and tell you before it's too late to pick up the phone and call your elected representatives. And if you don't know how to call your elected representatives in Sacramento, here's how you do it. You can go online to look them up at Find Your Rep, all one word, findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. Findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. Write down their names and phone numbers, your assembly representative, your senator. Write them down, put them on the refrigerator or a kitchen counter or a bulletin board. Because from time to time, you're going to hear something's going on in Sacramento and you're going to want to pick up the phone and call them at their Sacramento office and say, you're not voting for this, are you? And I guarantee you that will get their attention because they think you don't know. They think the people of California aren't paying attention. And a lot of people are busy and they don't know. But we're here to tell you. That's why you want to be a member of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association if you're not already. It's only $15 a year. And then you strengthen the voice of taxpayers in California. So how is the mail going? We're getting a lot of petitions back, but we still need more.
Oh yeah, tons, buckets full of petitions every day, bins full. There's a lot of petitions. You know, we had to bring in a bunch of volunteers because the contractors we hired to count it, they tapped out. They said, this is too much, we need help. So we brought in some volunteers to do it. It's really exciting, Susan, but we need more petitions. You know, if you've got a petition sitting on your, you know, your nightstand or on your kitchen counter, send it in. I got a call from someone today who said, I'm probably too late. You know, my petition says valid only October 2023. That's the top under sheet. The petition is still valid. Send it in. But that means she printed it out in October and sat on it. So send it back.
I happen to have Howard Jarvis's book here. If you were listening to the opening, you heard Howard Jarvis's voice. We, the taxpayers. That's the man. I tell you, he's the founder of this organization. He's the guy who put Proposition 13 on the ballot. And if you're not familiar with Proposition 13, that's what's keeping your property taxes from going up according to market value every year. In other states, the real estate is taxed on the basis of its market value all the time. And so when you think about being taxed on the market value of your home and having your tax bill be a giant surprise based on real estate prices every year, that's pretty upsetting. And that's what was happening in the 1970s in California. Inflation was pushing up the value of houses. No one could believe how fast, no one could believe how high. But Sacramento was collecting a statewide average 2.67% tax rate on real estate. That's what it was in California in the 1970s, average 2.67% of the market value of your home every year as a condition of keeping your property. Well, people were very upset and they signed petitions to put Proposition 13 on the ballot. And what did Proposition 13 do? It put a cap on how much it could go up every year. It said your assessed value can only go up maximum 2% a year, even if the market goes up 22% a year, which it did one year. 2% a year is the cap on how much your assessed value, your taxable value of your home can go up for as long as you own it. And the tax rate was cut to 1%. So everybody got a tax cut. It was extremely important, and it has allowed people to keep their homes. But a few years later, as people were inheriting property and the values had continued to go up, people discovered that the legislature considered an inheritance a change of ownership, just as if the property had sold on the open market. But of course, it's very different, because when it sells on the open market, somebody is making a choice to buy it, very different than inheriting something and then finding out what it's worth and what your annual tax bill is. So people were so upset by that the legislature did something about it. The legislature created the parent-child transfer exclusion from reassessment, an exclusion for the home of any value and up to $1 million of assessed value of other property. That was passed in the legislature unanimously, not a single vote against it. And it went on the ballot and it passed with 75% of the vote. It was Proposition 58 in 1986, the parent-child transfer exclusion, 75% voter approval. And now it's gone. It's gone. Proposition 19 took it away while you were watching commercials about wildfire victims. This was in there. And we have to put it back because voters were tricked. They did not know. They did not know. Now we're coming down to the home stretch here. We need these back to us postmarked by February 5th. There's still time. It only takes 10 minutes to download it, to print it, to put it in the mail. It's very quick. There's room for 2 signatures on each petition. Of course, you can print as many petitions as you want to. You can give them to your neighbors. You can be the circulator on the petition that they sign, or they can be the circulator on their own petition. And you can text everybody you know, you can call people, you can email, you can put this link on your Twitter X account, on Facebook, on Instagram, repealthedeathtax.com. Repealthedeathtax.com. Everybody in California needs to hear about this and know that there's something they can do before it's too late. You can still do this and you can get it in the mail to us and we can get this on the November ballot. And we've done polling. And what does our polling show if we get this on the ballot, Scott?
If we get this on the ballot, it passes. It passes overwhelmingly, probably similar to how it passed in 1986. The hardest part for us is going to be getting it on the ballot.
Right. And that's why we need you. That's why we're doing this show, to talk to you about how important it is to take 10 minutes, download and print this petition, and save your family the trauma of this. Now, a lot of people think that a trust has already taken care of this for them. Bad news, I'm afraid. Trusts do not protect you from property tax reassessment. They do not protect you from property tax reassessment. Why? Because assessors look through the trust. They look through the trust like it's made of glass. They look right through it and they see who is the present beneficial owner. And when there's a change, they reassess on the basis of that change. People thought the trusts protect them. What was actually protecting them? Prop 58, the parent-child transfer exclusion. That's what was protecting them. And now, when somebody passes away and you're going through all of that, you find out that you're getting reassessed. And your home that someone bought for $200,000 is worth $1.3 million. And the new tax bill is 1% of $1.3 million. Plus all the local bonds, plus all the local parcel taxes, plus whatever else the voters in your area have approved. This is the problem. It's too much for people to pay. And it's every year. You know, income tax, once on the way in. Sales tax, once on the way out. Even an estate tax is only once, and there's a big exclusion so it doesn't clobber middle-class people. But property tax, every year as a condition of keeping what you already own. That's very different. That is very different. And for the legislature to put this on the ballot, Prop 19, with this in it, and try to destroy family inheritances, forcing people to sell their family property at the worst possible time in their lives, when they shouldn't have to make a decision like that, they have to make that decision because these tax bills are enormous. And the assessors are not happy with this. Tell us what some of the assessors have been saying about it, Scott.
I don't think any of the assessors are particularly happy about this. They're elected, you vote for them, and they don't like being the bad guy in this. As Susan said, they don't like being the one sending you, sorry, in the sympathy card, sorry that your parent died, here's your 200% property tax increase. And 200% is realistic. I was actually looking at my property taxes. I was explaining to someone how Prop 13 protects even people like me who bought a house in April of 2022. I'm paying $7,000 in property tax. I'd be paying $15,000 in property tax without it. But from when I purchased my house to when the developer bought the land to build my house, the difference was 200%. When it got reassessed for me, it was 200%. That's similar to what people are looking at with this. And I also want to note, Susan, while you're talking about the trust part, this is the thing we get the most pushback on. We tell people a trust doesn't protect you, and they say, you're wrong. I don't think you're right. So while you were talking, I pulled up the Board of Equalization website, their frequently asked questions. You can look this up to boe.ca.gov. They've got a Prop 19 section. You click it, got a ton of great information there for you if you have questions. But here it is. How is a property held in a trust affected by Proposition 19? A change of ownership occurs when any interest in real property vests in persons other than the trustor or the trustor's spouse or registered domestic partner. When a revocable trust becomes irrevocable, this typically occurs upon the death of the trustor. Thus, the date of death is considered to be the date of change in ownership.
There you go. Trusts do not protect you. Board of Equalization is the state agency that oversees the assessors and property tax assessment in California. If you have questions for the Board of Equalization, let me give you the phone number for the property tax department. You can call them. They'll tell you the same thing, but you can trust us. We wouldn't lie to you. Have I lied to you yet today? I have not. 916-274-3350. And you can find that if you're driving, don't worry about it. Board of Equalization. It's very easy to connect with them by email, connect with them by phone. And as Scott said, they have a wonderful frequently asked questions section for every detail about Prop 19, which is really helpful because some of this is terribly complicated and some of it's not at all clear because the thing was written so badly. And next Friday night, we will have a special guest on this show. Los Angeles County Assessor Jeff Prang will be with us for the full hour in studio taking your calls. So if you live in Los Angeles County or if you live anywhere in California and have a question about tax assessment with relation to this issue, you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth. You're going to hear how difficult this is. They have been really backlogged, very difficult for them to do this. The tax collectors have to send out the bills, even if you qualify for lower taxes because you were in on the exception for a parent's principal residence becomes your principal residence, you move in within 1 year, there's $1 million exclusion that's supposed to protect you from having a tax increase. Unfortunately, in California, $1 million isn't what it used to be. So people are seeing tax increases anyway for the excess value, the so-called excess value that's going on. So these tax bills are going out and people are being told, well, you have to pay it because you have to stay current on your property taxes, but you'll probably qualify to get it back later when we finish doing all the paperwork. I have heard from people who had to write a check or were told they had to write a check, $12,000, $50,000 for property taxes that they don't even owe, but the paperwork is so far behind. That's because Proposition 19 was so badly written and so badly thought out. And all the legislature wanted when they put this on the ballot was to take your money. And we just don't think that's right. Because this is not some little tax increase. This is not some little 2 cents on a dollar tax increase. This is huge. This is the kind of thing that makes you change your life, where you live, where you work. What happens to somebody who owns a small business property, like a restaurant, and they got through COVID, and now they have debt loans, they have employees, they have a new patio that they have to maintain. They have all this stuff. And here comes this tax increase. If the older generation passes and the younger generation inherits that business, and that real estate is so valuable in California, wherever it is, and that business gets reassessed to current market value and the new tax bill is 1% of that plus all the extra charges, how do they survive that? They're just going to go under. You're just gonna lose all these little neighborhood family businesses. They're gonna go under because the business will not sustain that extra expense. And this happens also with rental housing, because rental housing is a business. And there's no exclusion. If you inherit a small apartment building that your parents owned for a long time because they wanted income in their retirement, and now you inherit it, reassessed to current market value, no exclusion, no exception, as of the date of transfer. What happens to the tenants? In a lot of these buildings, a lot of them, the tenants are, they're paying below market rent because they've been there a long time and it's a good relationship and everybody's happy. And the expenses of the building weren't that high because the taxes weren't that high. Well, now the taxes are going to be 1% of the current market value. I guarantee you it's not going to go well for the tenants. There will either be a rent increase or there will be a sale of the building. And what they call that in Sacramento is withdrawing the units from the market, which means everybody's in the street. Everybody gets evicted because they're selling the building. So we're hearing these stories. We're hearing stories from tenants. We're hearing stories from owners. We're hearing stories from families. This is a disaster and we have to repeal the death tax. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to repealthedeathtax.com, repealthedeathtax.com, and you're going to download the petition. And when you download the petition, let me tell you how that's going to go. You're going to get a 5-page PDF file. Very, very easy. The first page is just a cover sheet, and that has a little mailing label that you can cut out and tape to an envelope. You don't even have to rewrite the address. Then you're going to get the complete color instructions, easy to follow, shows you where you have to sign, where you put the date, where you put your address. Very simple. Then you have a flyer because your neighbors are going to say, "What's this?" And you're going to be able to say, "Here's a flyer. Here's a flyer that explains parents should be able to transfer property to their kids without a huge increase in the tax bill." That's the top bullet point on this flyer. That's what we're doing here. We're fighting for families. The next page is a financial disclosure. Scott referred to that earlier. It's called the official top funders sheet. This is a new law in California that we have to give this to everyone who signs the petition or show it to everyone who signs the petition so that you know there's no financial sugar daddy behind this that's not disclosed. There's no financial sugar daddy. This is all paid for by small donations from people like you who go to the website at repealthedeathtax.com and click the donate button and give whatever they can, $10, $15, $25, $100. That's how we're paying for this campaign. That's how we're paying for the radio commercials. We just did full-page newspaper ads in the Bay Area papers. We're very excited about that. We printed the petition right in the newspaper so that you could cut it out and mail it in. That's how we get this in people's hands in a short period of time. So if you'd like to support this effort, that's where you can do it. Repealthedeathtax.com, click the donate button. And the final page of the 5-page petition, 5-page PDF file rather, is the petition itself. It's a letter-sized piece of paper, fits on a regular sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, one side, printed on any printer, fill it out, send it in. And please send it in. Let me tell you what happened with Prop 13 in 1978. Howard Jarvis was pretty aggravated because he knew they had the petitions out there. He knew that there were all these volunteers collecting signatures, but they weren't coming back. So he bought 30 days of radio advertising, and I'm going to read you the copy. It says, "We have sent 700,000 petitions out. There are a great many of you who have gotten petitions signed, and they are lying on your desk or in your dresser drawer where they are no good. If you don't send them back to us, we're going to lose. We need them as soon as possible so we have time to process them." He did that for 30 days on the radio, and people sent them back. And it says here about 2 weeks before the deadline, I'm reading from Howard Jarvis's memoir, which is called "I'm Mad as Hell." Here's what he wrote. About 2 weeks before the deadline, everything came together in a big way. All of a sudden, the signatures started pouring in. It was an avalanche. They started coming in by the truckload. We still didn't have any paid help. These volunteers were sorting through all these sacks of mail. By the deadline, 1.2 million signatures had been counted, and there were 300,000 more that we didn't have time to count until later. Altogether, it was a total of 1.5 million signatures, twice as many as anyone had ever collected before. There you go. That's how Prop 13 got on the ballot. And we're in the stretch right now, that last 2 weeks. So if you have petitions on your desk, on your dresser, in the drawer, in your briefcase, in your backpack, in your book bag, send them back. Fill out those declarations of circulator, send them back to our Sacramento office. We don't know how many are out there because we can't tell how many people are printing them at home. We can see how many downloads there are, and there are a lot, but we don't know how many times you're printing it once you download it. Send them back. And be sure you tell everyone you know, to go to repealthedeathtax.com and download the petition. We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Paul in Arcadia, who wants to know who was responsible for drafting this legislation. We will answer that question and more. This is the Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party. I'm Susan Shelley with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and we will be right back after this.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
We have a crash in Hayward, North 880 before Winton Avenue, second lane from the left, and a backup from Alvarado Boulevard waiting for you. San Jose, look out for a pothole in southbound 280 at Vine Street, second lane from the left, and you're backed up from the 880-17 interchange as everyone tries to avoid it. A crash in Antioch, eastbound 480 Street.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Print Big Sale means the more you print, the more you save. Get $20 off your print purchase of 100 or more, 50 off your print purchase of 200 or more, and 100 off your print purchase of 300 or more. Hence 21024. See staples.com/print for details. Print more, save more at Staples.
2023 is behind us, and it's a brand new year. What are your New Year's resolutions? Is getting your retirement plan in order one of them? Hi, it's David Hollander from Protect Your Assets, president and founder of the Liberty Group. With the start of a brand new year, it's important to reevaluate and make sure you're prepared for retirement. That's why I've come up with our retirement boot camp. Ever done berries in the city? Well, this is your opportunity to train and make the right decisions for you and your platoon. Hoorah! Tune in every Saturday this month as we drill you on the basics of retirement so you can avoid costly mistakes and ensure that your retirement mission is a success. If you'd like to start your retirement boot camp today, call 866-PROTECT. Again, that's 866-776-8328. Call 866-PROTECT today.
Investment advisory services and securities offered through Liberty Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Are you the decision maker at your company? Do you want more control over your business spending? Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management platform designed to save you time and money. Ramp offers unlimited corporate cards with spend controls you can customize to stop wasteful spending before it happens. Ramp makes expense reports a breeze by automatically collecting receipts and matching them to the right transaction. You'll close your books in hours instead of days. Ramp allows you to see all of your company spend in one place, so you can make quick, informed decisions about your business finances. Plus, Ramp will share insights based on your spending to help you cut costs. Over 15,000 businesses have added up to 5% of their bottom line with Ramp. You can be one of them. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
On Truth for Life weekend, Alistair Begg emphasizes Scripture's priority.
The Bible says that you and I are lost willfully, helplessly, and naturally, and that Jesus has come to find us. That salvation is the gift of God to us, and that God has given it to us in Jesus because we cannot save ourselves. The Bible is able to make us wise for salvation.
Hear more on Truth for Life weekend.
Tune into KSFO Saturday mornings at 7:30 to listen to Truth for Life Weekend.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Babbel. Language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com. Start learning a language today at babbel.com.
Fine. Just take gradual, like I said, only have one bottle.
Fantastic results, Mo. Harem can absolutely regrow your hair. Made for both men and women and all hair types. Harem treats receding hairlines, the crown of the head, and thinning hair. Harem has proven to be as effective as minoxidil, but without harsh chemicals, no side effects, and provides long-lasting results. For a natural solution to regrow thicker, healthier hair, go to greatlifenow.com and see how you can get a free bottle of Harem today. That's greatlifenow.com. greatlifenow.com. greatlifenow.com.
It's Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party on 560 KSFO and 790 KABC. We need you. Get your petition now at repealthedeathtax.com.
That's what we want you to do. Go to repealthedeathtax.com and download the petition, print the petition. It's one page, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is all you need. Fill it out, sign it, send it back to the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. We need your help to spread the word. This is the Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party. Our phone number is 800-222-5222. We are live up and down the state from Lake Tahoe to San Diego Mission Bay. And everyone you know can listen wherever they are on KSFO.com or KABC.com. So if you're not within the sound of our voice on AM, then you can pick it up on your phone online. We have a call from Paul in Arcadia. Hi, Paul. How are you? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hi, Susan. My question was going back to when this petition passed. I know many politicians are unethical, but was there a group of greedy realtors or unethical realtors that also had a hand in this drafting this terrible legislation? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah. I hate to speak ill of anyone, but where this came from was originally the California Association of Realtors in the Sacramento office. This doesn't really apply to all the individual realtors. It wasn't their fault. But the Sacramento organization decided that they wanted to have portability so that people would be able to move to a new home anywhere in the state and take their old tax bill with them. You could do that under the old law, but you could only do it once, and you could only do it in the same county or a county that chose to accept those transfers. And the California Association of Realtors wanted it to be much broader, to go to any county and to do it more than once. Well, they tried to pass that, and the legislature essentially told them, we're going to have a lot of opposition to crush you on this. And then the next election cycle, they came back and the legislature sort of offered them a deal. They said, well, you know what? If you get rid of the parent-child transfer in your measure, we won't oppose you so much. So that's what happened. They put it together. It originated as an initiative where they collected signatures, but then it was given over to the legislature for some last-minute edits. And when I say last minute, they were past the deadline to get this on the 2020 November ballot, but they passed a special law to extend the deadline and call it a special election consolidated with the general election. And that's how they did this at the very, very last minute. There were no hearings. They didn't ask the assessors, can you even implement this? Didn't do any of that. They just shoved it to the ballot and spent $50 million making commercials about wildfire victims. And they also put another sweetener in there to try and persuade people to vote for it or trick people into voting for it. And this was the so-called wildfire fund. This is where the firefighters got involved. Supposedly, there would be money from these extra high taxes that would go to the state of California, and some little percentage of that was going to go into a brand new wildfire fighting fund. But the wildfire fighting fund now for 2 consecutive years has seen a total deposit of, Scott, drum roll, how much money have they seen?
Zero.
Zero. Zero for $1,000 in control of the board is the right answer. They saw no money at all, because it turns out that people who are paying higher real estate taxes deduct that off their state income tax, and so they pay less in income tax, even though they're paying more in property tax, and the state got nothing on the wildfire fund. Look at nothing as far as the eye can see. That's what happened there. So thank you for the call. I hope that answered your question. Let's talk to Glenn in La Habra Heights. Hi, Glenn. Thanks for calling. You're on the air with Susan and Scott.
Hello, folks. My question deals with beachfront property. Okay, let's pretend I own a $9 million house on the beach, and I've got a super low tax rate. When I die, under this proposed proposition, would I be able to transfer the whole 9 million, son, or would it have a cap on it? I'm trying to understand that $1 million reference you made earlier to certain properties.
Okay, here's how this works. If you have a home that's assessed at $200,000, the assessed value that you're taxed on is $200,000, but it has a market value of 1.6 million, let's say, and it's transferred from parent to child. If it was the parent's principal residence and it becomes the child's principal residence within 1 year, now these are the rules under Prop 19. These are not the rules that we had before Prop 19. If it's the parent's principal residence, it becomes the child's principal residence within 1 year, they get $1 million of protection against that extra value before the reassessment starts again. So you have your 200,000, which is what it was worth, what it was assessed at. You add the $1 million, now you're protected up to $1.2 million of current market value, but it's worth 1.6 million because California is insane. So the extra 400,000 is added to the 200,000, and now your new assessed value is 600,000. So instead of a $2,000 tax bill, you have a $6,000 tax bill. And for every $1 million of extra value above that, it's another $10,000 a year in taxes. So for homes in San Jose, for homes in San Diego, some of these long-held homes that have crazy, insane values now, people are seeing huge tax increases, even if it was the parent's principal residence, the child moves into it, within a year, makes it their principal residence. That was supposed to be protected. That's what they told us when they were proposing this. That, oh, don't worry, as long as it's the family residence, nobody's going to see a tax increase. Well, that was just not true. People are seeing huge tax increases, and a lot of people can't pay it because people are squeezed in California. The electricity bills and the gasoline bills, and everything is so expensive. Food is more expensive here. Everything's more expensive. And so now you have the additional $2,000, $4,000, $10,000 of annual, every year as a condition of keeping your property, annual tax increases. So that's the problem here. And of course, small business properties, apartment buildings, people who own a fourplex and live in one unit. When the child moves into that one unit, guess what? 75% of that fourplex is going to be reassessed, even though the child moved into it. That's a huge hit on people. So if someone is trying to tax beach property because they think the rich don't deserve to keep their property, that's a separate discussion. This was something that affects every property in California. This is not a fix for people who want to go after rich beach properties, because this hits little 3-bedroom houses in suburban neighborhoods where people are just hanging on. And let me tell you what else it does. For all the communities that are historically disadvantaged, that were hurt by redlining, that were hurt by prejudice, that were prohibited from owning property or owning property in certain areas, now they own property. Now they've overcome that historical disadvantage. And what does this Prop 19 death tax do? It reassesses those properties to market value when the generation passes. So instead of being able to build generational wealth and advance on the economic ladder and help the next generation, reassess to market value, and everything has to be sold because nobody has the income to pay those taxes. So a little family, small empire of 2 or 3 rental houses that someone built by investing in real estate is lost. Now, sure, everybody gets the cash from the sale, but very often you pay the mortgage, you pay the commissions and the selling costs, you pay all of these things. Some of these properties have reverse mortgages. You pay all of this, and there's not a lot left. And even if you get all the cash from the sale, the cash is going to lose value to inflation. And the real estate is going to appreciate. It's going to hold its value and it's going to appreciate, and somebody else owns it. In these communities that were screwed for all those years, and now this, it's immoral. It's disgusting. It has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. 1-800-222-5222 is the phone number if you'd like to talk to us. One thing I want to mention about our Repeal the Death Tax initiative is that it is retroactive. It is retroactive back to when this took effect, which was February 16th, 2021, I think was the exact date. So when we get this on the ballot, when we get this passed, everyone who was burned by a reassessment for a parent-child transfer will be able to apply, file a claim, and get their Prop 13 protected previous base year assessment reinstated. We can't get you a refund for taxes that were paid while they were owed, but we can get you your Prop 13 back. We can get you your original base year value reinstated as if that parent-child reassessment did not happen. So this is a really important measure. And the only way it's going to happen is if you stop what you're doing right now. Not if you're driving, don't do it while you're driving. Stop what you're doing and go to your computer or call somebody in your family who has a computer and say, print this and bring it over and let's do this right now. And if you've been collecting signatures, we have 10,000 volunteers who have been collecting signatures for us around the state. If they're sitting on your desk and you're wondering if you should send them back, Scott, what should they do?
Send them back.
Send them back. Send them back. They don't do us any good, as Howard Jarvis would say, sitting on your desk. Doesn't help us. You know, we should talk a little bit about affordable housing, because one of the things that this is really underreported, I think, when this was on the ballot, is how this affects apartment buildings. I have some statistics here. There are 2 million renter households living in 1 unit rental units. So that's a house or a condo or a townhouse, 1 unit. 2 million renter households. When those are transferred from parent to child, they are reassessed to market value. There's no rent control on that. They're just going to see huge rent increases. 2 million rental households on the street. This could cause homelessness. Where are they going to go? Because all of these older buildings are going to be reassessed one after another as they're passed from parent to child. As all these mom and pop landlords, as that generation goes, so goes the low property tax bill. And everybody's going to be reassessed and all the tenants are going to be hurt by this. And they don't even know this is happening. They don't know this is happening. They're just going to get the eviction notice and they're going to say, why do I have to move? And they have to move because somebody passed away and somebody inherited that building and it's been reassessed to market value. And market value in California is insane. I'm sure wherever you live in this state, within the sound of my voice, you have seen these things that come to your door from realtors. You have seen these listings in the paper and you're thinking, no way is that worth it. How is that possible? Think about it in terms of getting taxed on it, as if you've made enough money to buy it, which you haven't. It's just gone up around you. This is just awful and it has to be fixed. 2.1 million renter households who live in small buildings, 2 to 19 units, reassessed to market value. That's a total so far. We've got the 1 unit, we've got the 2 to 19. That's 4.1 million renter households affected potentially by this. because of the possibility that it's a mom and pop landlord and it's passed to the next generation. This is horrible. We're gonna fix this. Let's take a call from Marie in Corte Madera. Hi, Marie, you're on the air.
Yes, I have a question. If Proposition 19 is repealed, what happens to people who have already taken advantage of it, like moved to another county or moved, seniors now moved more than once, or whatever, the advantages were that Proposition 19 had? Will that be rescinded too, and those people have to pay more?
No, I'm very happy to tell you, Marie, that we are not touching any of the good parts of Prop 19. That all stays the same. What we're doing is we are restoring what was lost. We're restoring the parent-child transfer. That's all we're doing. Oh, well, it's not all we're doing. We're also restoring the grandparent-grandchild transfer, which was taken away also by Prop 19. That was when the children's parents are deceased, the grandparents could pass property to the grandchildren under the same rules. So that we're going to restore also. But we're not touching any of the parts of Prop 19 that helps seniors move to a new home. That all stays. We're not touching the part that helps wildfire victims move to a new home. That all stays. All we're doing is sunsetting these provisions that sunsetted your constitutional rights. So we're putting back what was taken away by Prop 19. And we're making it retroactive, as I said a moment ago. Let's talk to Tom in Monrovia. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for calling.
I just had a comment. It doesn't even sound like it is a communistic takeover of California. That's one comment. And the other comment is, I've been wanting to send letters to everybody, and say, the longer it takes us to realize that we're already at war and that we're losing, the quicker it's going to be that we are going to lose.
Well, thank you for the call, Tom. I think we share your fear that things are not going well in California, and we have to fix it. We have to fix some of these problems where there's too much spending, there's too much taxing, then there's too much spending again, and then they say why there's not enough taxing, and they come back at us with another attack on Prop 13, another attack on property owners. We're the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. You heard his voice at the top of the show and at the top of the segment. We, the taxpayers, are here for you. The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association at HJTA.org. Take a look, be a member. It's a great organization. Let's talk to Randy in Aptos. Hi, Randy.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you for calling.
Good. Just a quick comment. I'm one of those that my mother died in 2021, and I inherited the two homes that she had owned for decades and got at low prices, and she was paying low property taxes for them. And of course, when I inherited them, they reassessed the both to well over $1 million a piece, just because they're in Central California. And going through the trust, I was the trustee and taking care of it until it got transferred to me. But what was just so devastating was that when I got the tax bills, as you interacted to her date of death. So when I finally got the tax bills for the time since she had passed, they also, the 2022 taxes, at about that same time. So I got 4 tax bills instead of 2, the 2 from her date of death, plus coming to, all reassessed to the current market value. I got over $55,000 in property tax bills, all due at the same time for those 2 houses. And it was just absolutely devastating for my wife and I. My mom had rented those homes for decades, and now it doesn't seem like, we're going to be able to make enough money back after paying the taxes plus insurance for those homes to be able to make it worth it to rent them anymore. And so, eventually I'm afraid we're going to have to just sell them, and there goes 2 more homes that families can't rent in the state. And I can see this repeating itself with tens of thousands of people that when their parents die and they inherit the homes. and get hit with these insane tax bills.
It's so insane. And people who have just invested in real estate, bought a home and rented it because it was a good business, are getting destroyed by this. And that is so unfair. For anyone who's listening, I just want to let you know that there is a program in California. Thank you for the call. Much appreciated, Randy. There is a program in California run by the state controller's office called property tax postponement. And if you qualify for it, there are income limits and you have to have a certain amount of equity in the property. But the filing period to apply for this runs through February 12th. So there is still time to apply for property tax postponement if you think that's something that would help you in this kind of a situation. So the email address is postponement@SCO for State Controller Office, sco.ca.gov. And the phone number is 800-952-5661. And if you're driving or you don't have anything to write this down with, you can just look up State Controller's Office, property tax postponement, and you can find all the files online. And that may help you in a situation like this where you get a ridiculous tax bill and you just need some space before you have to write those checks. Let's talk to Joe in Santa Monica. Hi, Joe. Thanks for calling.
You're one of my heroes in life. Thank you so much. I've got a friend who needs to register to vote because you have to register. He wants to sign the petition, but he's not registered to vote. How can we quickly get him registered to vote?
It's so easy. I'm so glad you asked that question. You can register to vote online on the Secretary of State's secure website. You go to registertovote.ca.gov. Registertovote.ca.gov. And it's just that easy. You just fill out the form online and boom, you're registered. And once you're registered, you can not only vote, but you can sign petitions and your signature will be valid. So make sure you use your residential address because that's what's required for registration to vote. And tell everyone. They should all be registered to vote anyway. I mean, you need every rational person registered to vote in California just to balance things out. Let's talk to Brent in LA. Hi, Brent. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Susan. I love you, but where's the anger? Where is the rage? We need to get Mike Netter here. We have to get Eric Early. We have to get Good and Outraged. And where is that? We have to bring in that dimension.
Well, you're so right. And Mike Netter's been a great help with this effort. And he has had me on his Outrage show many times to talk about this issue. And his organization is working very hard to help us get the word out, as is Reform California down in San Diego, Carl DeMaio's organization. Everybody's been trying to help with this. I just have to tell you, this is a big state. I know this is news to you. It's good that you're listening because you would never have known otherwise. But this is a big state. It's a lot of people to reach. We're doing everything we can within the resources we have to reach you. And you have to help us reach everyone you know, everyone you're connected with on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube, on wherever you're connected on social media. Go and post repealthedeathtax.com. Tell them right now today, download the petition, fill it out, send it in. If we can get this buzzing all over California in the next 2 weeks, we can do this because there's no barrier in the logistics. There's no, we have to print petitions and mail them to you. You can do this yourself. You don't have to find anybody standing in front of the supermarket with a clipboard. You can do this yourself. If you don't have a printer and you'd like us to mail you the petitions, we can do that. You can call the Howard Jarvis office at 916-444-9950. 916-444-9950 for the Howard Jarvis office. We will mail you petitions. This is the Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party. Our phone number is 800-222-5222. So Scott, tell me how the mail is looking. Is it piled up in the office? Describe for us what it's like at a typical desk in the Sacramento office right now.
Well, I am 6'3", and when you stack it up, it's about as tall as I am, and there are multiple stacks about as tall as I am. So it's we're getting tons in. You know, we need more. We obviously need a lot more. The qualify. So if you've got them sitting on a table, send them back. I tell you, the number of people that I talk to every day where they're asking where we're at, and I tell them we need a lot more, and they end the call with, "Oh, I guess I'll send mine then." No, don't wait. Don't wait to
Don't wait,
that, oh, I guess you really need mine. We need everybody's. It's not enough to just get I think we need technically what, Susan, 870,000 ballot signatures and some change.
Yes.
But people make mistakes. We need more than that. We need 1 million. We need 1.2 million. We need as many as you've got. We need so many that there's no chance this doesn't qualify.
Right, and there's
We need as
22
many as-
million.
Yeah.
22 million registered voters in the state of California. We must be able to reach 1 million too, wouldn't you say? If you tell 10 people and they tell 10 people, we can do this. We can do this. It's just a question of getting the word out and having people take 10 minutes to print it out, sign it, send it back. Send it back. We're just about out of time. We have about 30 seconds left. So I just want to give you all of our websites again. We are repealthedeathtax.com, repealthedeathtax.com to get the petition. And you can also check out the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association at HJTA.org, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are here for you, protecting taxpayers, fighting for you. And we'll see you next Friday night right here on the Repeal the Death Tax Petition Party with our special guest, LA County Assessor Jeff Crane. I'm Susan Shelley for Scott Kaufman. Thanks for being with us.
The preceding ad was paid by Repeal the Death Tax, a project of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. The views, opinions, and beliefs expressed are those of Repeal the Death Tax, a project of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and don't necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Cumulus Media or other partners.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO San Francisco, PSEN HD2 San Mateo.